Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to Bible in a Year with Lovie. We are on day 66. Yeah, we are making progress. Look at us go. Today we're going to start Deuteronomy. We're reading the Life Application Study Bible, 3rd edition, New Living Translation. For anybody who may be new and would like to follow along, that's where we're reading from. Yeah. Okay. Man, I gotta say, so y'all know, if you've been following along, I've talked about it more than once. I do a Tuesday night youth and young adults group in my home, and last night's group was just so awesome, and I just love it when God shows up, don't y'all? Like when He shows up, and He was really speaking to us last night, and it's such a there's a feeling that you get inside whenever you see that these teenagers and these young adults are like really learning something from the studies, you know. So it was just such a good group, and I'm so blessed to be able to be a part of it. You know, when God first put it on my lap, it wasn't expected, and I was like, I don't feel qualified. I don't know what I'm doing, but He's really just walked me through every one of them, and it's like it just keeps getting better. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Don't be scared to step into what God's calling you to do, because if He's calling you to do it, He's already equipped you to do it. Even if you don't feel like you can, even if you're not sure that you're good enough, even if you don't know that you're going to reach, you know, like it doesn't matter how many people you reach. Jesus came for the one. So as long as you're walking in obedience to what God's telling you to do, the one that it was intended for you to reach, you're going to reach that person. Like with these videos, man, I don't, it's awesome that, you know, it's growing, and, you know, there's now 80 subscribers, thanks to all the 80. But it ain't even about that. I know that I'm simply walking in obedience to what God told me to do. When I first started doing this, I wasn't qualified. I didn't feel qualified. I felt really insecure. I was like, you know, I stumble across some of the words sometimes. But, you know, Moses had a stutter, and so Aaron spoke for him. So, like, all the excuses we make really don't matter when it comes to God, because He's God, and if He says to do something, you just do it, and He's gonna make it right the way He wants it to be, the way He intended it to be. He just wants your yes. So I'm really grateful today that I gave God my yes, and I hope that you guys all have something that you've given Him your yes onto, and even if you don't see the fruit yet, just trust that it's coming. So, with that said, we're going to start in Deuteronomy. We're going to read 1 through 3 today, and then we're going to flip over to Mark chapter 10 and finish it off. So if y'all are ready, let's dive right in. Deuteronomy chapter 1. These are the words that Moses spoke to all the people of Israel while they were in the wilderness east of the Jordan River. They were camped in the Jordan Valley near Suph, between Paran on one side and Tophel, Laban, Hazeroth, and Dizahab on the other. Normally, it takes only 11 days to travel from Mount Sinai to Kadesh Barnea, going by way of Mount Seir, whatever. But 40 years after the Israelites left Egypt, on the first day of the 11th month, Moses addressed the people of Israel, telling them everything the Lord had commanded him to say. This took place after he had defeated King Sihon of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon, and at Edrei had defeated King Og of Bashan, who ruled in Ashtaroth. While the Israelites were in the land of Moab, east of the Jordan River, Moses carefully explained the Lord's instructions as follows. When we were at Mount Sinai, the Lord our God said to us, "You have stayed at this mountain long enough. It is time to break camp and move on. I've stayed at some places long enough. I've had to break camp a few times and move on. Well, a lot more than a few. A lot more than I care to talk about. But, you know, when God says move around, move around. He said, go to the hill country of the Amorites and to all the neighboring regions, the Jordan Valley, the hill country, the western foothills, the Negev, and the coastal plain. Go to the land of the Canaanites and to Lebanon or whatever, and all the way to the great Euphrates River. Look, I'm giving all this land to you. Go in and occupy it, for it is the land the Lord swore to give your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to all their descendants. Moses continued, at that time I told you, you are too great a burden for me to carry all by myself. The Lord your God has increased your population, making you as numerous as the stars. And may the Lord, the God of your ancestors, multiply you 1,000 times more and bless you as he promised. But you are such a heavy load to carry. How can I deal with all your problems and bickering? Choose some well-respected men from each tribe who are known for their wisdom and understanding, and I'll appoint them as your leaders. Then you responded, your plan is a good one. So I took the wise and respected men you had selected from your tribes and appointed them to serve you as judges and officials over you. Some were responsible for 1,000 people, some for 100, some for 50, and some for 10. At that time I instructed the judges, you must hear the cases of your fellow Israelites and the foreigners living among you. Be perfectly fair in your decisions and impartial in your judgments. Hear the cases of those who are poor as well as those who are rich. Don't be afraid of anyone's anger, for the decision you make is God's decision. Bring me any cases that are too difficult for you, and I will handle them. At that time, I gave you instructions about everything you were to do. Then, just as the Lord our God commanded us, we left Mount Sinai and traveled through the great and terrifying wilderness, as you yourselves remember, and headed toward the hill country of the Amorites. When we arrived at Kadesh Barnea, I said to you, you have now reached the hill country of the Amorites that the Lord our God has given us. Look, he's placed the land in front of you. Go and occupy it, as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, had promised you. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. But you all came to me and said, first, let's send out scouts to explore the land for us. They will advise us on the best route to take and which towns we should enter. This seemed like a good idea to me, so I chose 12 scouts, one from each of your tribes. They headed for the hill country and came to the valley of Eshcol and explored it. They picked some of its fruit and brought it back to us. And they reported, the land the Lord our God has given us is indeed a good land. But you rebelled against the command of the Lord your God and refused to go in. You complained in your tents and said, the Lord must hate us. That's why he has brought us here from Egypt, to hand us over to the Amorites to be slaughtered. Where can we go? Our brothers have demoralized us with their report. They tell us the people of the land are taller and more powerful than we are, and their towns are large, with walls rising high into the sky. We even saw giants there, the descendants of Anak. But I said to you, don't be shocked or afraid of them. The Lord your God is going ahead of you. He will fight for you, just as you saw him do in Egypt. And you saw how the Lord your God cared for you all along the way as you traveled through the wilderness, just as a father cares for his child. Now he's brought you to this place. But even after all he did, you refused to trust the Lord your God, who goes before you, looking for the best places to camp, guiding you with a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day. When the Lord heard you complaining, he became very angry. So he solemnly swore, not one of you from this wicked generation will live to see the good land I swore to give your ancestors, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He will see this land because he has followed the Lord completely. I will give him and his descendants some of the very land he explored during his scouting mission. And the Lord was also angry with me because of you. He said to me, Moses, not even you will enter the promised land. Instead, your assistant Joshua, son of Nun, will lead the people into the land. Encourage him, for he will lead Israel as they take possession of it. I will give the land to your little ones, your innocent children. You were afraid they would be captured, but they will be the ones to occupy it. As for you, turn around now and go on back through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Then you confessed, we have sinned against the Lord. We will go into the land and fight for it as the Lord our God has commanded us. So your men strapped on their weapons, thinking it would be easy to attack the hill country. But the Lord told me to tell you, do not attack, for I am not with you. If you go ahead on your own, you will be crushed by your enemies. Boy, how many times have we tried to go ahead without God's approval? Try to move too quick. We missed the mark the first time. Then we try to go back and get it right the second time. But the second time, God ain't with us no more, so it fails. I mean, boy, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to do things in my own strength. Like, we ought to know better by now. If you don't know better, now you know. Just don't. Trying to do things in your own strength will never get you anywhere. It won't. It won't. It'll just get you in a mess. So, there's that. This is what I told you, but you would not listen. Instead, you again rebelled against the Lord's command and arrogantly went into the hill country to fight. But the Amorites who lived there came out against you like a swarm of bees. They chased and battered you all the way from Seir to Hormah. Then you returned and wept before the Lord, but he refused to listen. So you stayed there at Kadesh for a long time. I mean, why should he listen? He already told you time and time again. Why should he? Why should he listen? Excuse me, y'all. Y'all know I'm still dealing with upper respiratory issue. So, anyways, chapter 2. Then we turned around and headed back across the wilderness toward the Red Sea, just as the Lord had instructed me, and we wandered around in the region of Mount Seir for a long time. Then at last the Lord said to me, you have been wandering around in this hill country long enough. Turn to the north, give these orders to the people. You will pass through the country belonging to your relatives, the Edomites, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir. The Edomites will feel threatened, so be careful. Do not bother them, for I have given them all the hill country around Mount Seir as their property, and I will not give you even 1 square foot of their land. If you need food to eat or water to drink, pay them for it. For the Lord your God has blessed you in everything you have done. He has watched your every step through this great wilderness during these 40 years. The Lord your God has been with you, and you have lacked nothing. So we bypassed the territory of our relatives, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir. We avoided the road through the Araba valley that comes up from Elath and Ezion-Geber. Then as we turned north along the desert route through Moab, the Lord warned us, do not bother the Moabites, the descendants of Lot, or start a war with them. I have given them Ar as their property, and I will not give you any of their land. A race of giants called the Emites had once lived in the area of Ar. They were as strong and numerous and as tall as the Anakites, another race of giants. Both the Emites and the Anakites are also known as the Rephates, though the Moabites called them Emites. In earlier times, the Horites had lived in Seir, but they were driven out and displaced by the descendants of Esau, just as Israel drove out the people of Canaan when the Lord gave Israel their land. Moses continued, Then the Lord said to us, Get moving, cross the Zered brook. So we crossed the brook. 38 years passed from the time we first left Kadesh Barnea until we finally crossed the Zered brook. By then, all the men old enough to fight in battle had died in the wilderness, as the Lord had vowed would happen. The Lord struck them down until they had all been eliminated from the community. When all the men of fighting age had died, the Lord said to me, Today you will cross the border of Moab at Ar, and into the land of the Ammonites, the descendants of Lot. But do not bother them or start a war with them. I have given the land of Ammon to them as their property, and I will not give you any of their land. That area was once considered the land of the Rephates, who had lived there, though the Ammonites called them Zamzamites. Zamzamites. Okay. They were also as strong and numerous and tall as the Anakites. But the Lord destroyed them so the Ammonites could occupy their land. He had done the same for the descendants of Esau who lived in Seir, for he destroyed the Horites so they could settle there in their place. The descendants of Esau live there to this day. A similar thing happened when the Kaftarites from Crete invaded and destroyed the Avites who had lived in villages in the area of Gaza. Moses continued, Then the Lord said, Now get moving. Cross the Arnon Gorge. Look, I will hand over to you Sihon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and I will give you his land. Attack him and begin to occupy the land. Beginning today, I will make people throughout the earth terrified because of you. When they hear reports about you, they will tremble with dread and fear. Moses continued, From the wilderness of Kedemoth, I sent ambassadors to King Sihon of Heshbon with this proposal of peace. Let us travel through your land. We will stay on the main road and won't turn off into the fields on either side. Sell us food to eat and water to drink, and we will pay for it. All we want is permission to pass through your land. The descendants of Esau who lived in Seir allowed us to go through their country, and so did the Moabites who live in Ar. Let us pass through until we cross the Jordan into the land the Lord our God is giving us. But King Sihon of Heshbon refused to allow us to pass through, because the Lord your God made Sihon stubborn and defiant, so he could help you defeat him, as he has now done. Then the Lord said to me, Look, I've begun to hand King Sihon and his land over to you. Begin now to conquer and occupy his land. Then King Sihon declared war on us and mobilized his forces at Jahaz. But the Lord our God handed him over to us, and we crushed him, his sons, and all his people. We conquered all his towns and completely destroyed everyone, men, women, and children. Not a single person was spared. We took all the livestock as plunder for ourselves, along with anything of value from the towns we ransacked. The Lord our God also helped us conquer Aroer on the edge of the Arnon Gorge, and the town in the gorge, and the whole area as far as Gilead. No town had walls too strong for us. However, we avoided the land of the Ammonites all along the Jabbok River and the towns in the hill country, all the places the Lord our God had commanded us to leave alone. Chapter 3. Next, we turned and headed for the land of Bashan, where King Og and his entire army attacked us at my dog's being silly. Edrei. But the Lord told me, do not be afraid of him, for I have given you victory over Og and his entire army, and I will give you all his land. Treat him just as you treated King Sihon of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon. So the Lord our God handed King Og and all his people over to us, and we killed them all. Not a single person survived. We conquered all 60 of his towns, the entire Argob region in his kingdom of Bashan. Not a single town escaped our conquest. These towns were all fortified with high walls and barred gates. We also took many unwalled villages at the same time. We completely destroyed the kingdom of Bashan. But as we had destroyed King Sihon of Heshbon, wait, I messed that up. We completely destroyed the kingdom of Bashan, just as we had destroyed the king of Sihon of Heshbon. There we go. We destroyed all the people in every town we conquered, men, women, and children alike. But we kept all the livestock for ourselves and took plunder from all the towns. So we took the land of the 2 Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, all the way from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is called Syrian by the Sidonians, and the Amorites call it Senir. We had now conquered all the cities on the plateau and all Gilead and Bashan, as far as the towns of Salakah and Edrei, which were part of Og's kingdom in Bashan. King Og of Bashan was the last survivor of the giant Rephaites, whatever. His bed was made of iron and was more than 13 feet long and 6 feet wide. It can still be seen in the Ammonite city of Rabbah. That'd be interesting to see. All right. When we took possession of this land, I gave to the tribes of Reuben and Gad the territory beyond Aroer along the Arnon Gorge, plus half of the hill country of Gilead with its towns. Then I gave the rest of Gilead to all of Bashan, Og's former kingdom, to the half-tribe of Manasseh. This entire Argob region of Bashan used to be known as the land of the Rephaites, whatever. Jair, a leader from the tribe of Manasseh, conquered the whole Argob region in Bashan, all the way to the border of the Geshurites and Maacathites. Jair renamed this region after himself, calling it the towns of Jair, as it is still known today. I gave Gilead to the clan of Machir, but I also gave part of Gilead to the tribes of Reuben and Gad. The area I gave them... Excuse me, sorry y'all. It's a rainy day, makes you sleepy. The area I gave them extended from the middle of the Arnon Gorge in the south to the Jabbok River on the Ammonite frontier. They also received the Jordan Valley, all the way from the Sea of Galilee down to the Dead Sea, with the Jordan River serving as the western boundary, to the east where the slopes of Pisgah. At that time, I gave this command to the tribes that would live east of the Jordan. Although the Lord your God has given you this land as your property, all your fighting men must cross the Jordan ahead of your Israelite relatives, armed and ready to assist them. Your wives, children, and numerous livestock, however, may stay behind in the towns I've given you. When the Lord has given security to the rest of the Israelites as he has to you, and when they occupy the land the Lord your God is giving them across the Jordan River, then you may return here to the land I have given you. At that time I gave Joshua this charge: you have seen for yourself everything the Lord your God has done to these 2 kings. He will do the same to all the kingdoms on the west side of the Jordan. Do not be afraid of the nations there, for the Lord your God will fight for you. At that time, I pleaded with the Lord and said, O sovereign Lord, you have only begun to show your greatness and the strength of your hand to me, your servant. Is there any God in heaven or on earth who can perform such great and mighty deeds as you do? Please let me cross the Jordan to see the wonderful land on the other side, the beautiful hill country and the Lebanon mountains. But the Lord was angry with me because of you, and he would not listen to me. That's enough, he declared. Speak of it no more. But go up to Pisgah Peak and look over the land in every direction. Take a good look, but you may not cross the Jordan River. Instead, commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will lead the people across the Jordan. He will give them all the land you now see before you as their possession. So we stayed in the valley near Beth Peor. God was not playing. Like Moses did a lot. Like Moses was faithful and loyal, but just that one act of defiance, that time whenever he struck the rock twice instead of speaking to it for water to come out, like because the people were mumbling and groaning and complaining about water, and that one act, kept him from ever entering the promised land. Went through all that, and God said, like he's asking God, please just let me step over there, and God's like, nope, that's enough of that. Don't even talk to me about it no more. It is what it is. Anyways, so you better be careful what you say no to, or what you stubbornly take your time to do, or how you follow his directions, because that thing that you're wanting, that thing that you're expecting, that thing that you're holding on to, that thing that you feel like God promised you, amen, if you're not holding up on your end, why should you feel like God's obligated to hold up on his? You got to walk that thing out exactly the way that he's telling you to do it. Don't do things in your own strength. You can't do nothing in your own strength and expect it to be blessed. It just don't work that way. Take it from somebody who knows. Like, I've spent my whole life, up until, up until I really got close with God, I've spent my whole life just trying to do things in my own strength, not realizing that, it's never going to be blessed, because I'm not actually doing what it is God's calling me to do. I'm doing what Lovie thinks Lovie should be doing. Just trying to survive, really. But God's way is better than our ways. His thoughts are greater than our thoughts. He knows better than us what we need, and he is the only one who can actually fulfill our needs in accordance to how he needs. He doesn't need anything from us, but he wants certain things from us. He wants us to act a certain way. He wants us to do certain things. He wants us to treat other people a certain way. He wants us to go out and make disciples. You know what I'm saying? So he already has a plan for you in advance. Are you going to walk in accordance to what his plans are for you? Or are you going to keep walking in your own strength thinking you can do it by yourself? Because you can't. You can't do it by yourself. You can't. It's just not going to happen. So I'm sorry to step on your toes, but it just ain't going to happen. Anyways, that's all on Deuteronomy for today. We'll pick back up in Deuteronomy chapter 4 tomorrow. But right now we're in Mark chapter 10. We're going to pick up on verse 32 and we're going to finish it out. So, Mark 10:32. They were now on the way up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. The disciples were filled with awe, and the people following behind were overwhelmed with fear. Taking the 12 disciples aside, Jesus once more began to describe everything that was about to happen to him. Listen, he said, we're going up to Jerusalem, where the Son of Man will be betrayed to the leading priests and the teachers of religious law. They will sentence him to die and hand him over to the Romans. They will mock him, spit on him, flog him with a whip, and kill him. But after 3 days, he will rise again. Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came over and spoke to him. Teacher, they said, we want you to do us a favor. What is your request? He asked. They replied, when you sit on your glorious throne, we want to sit in places of honor next to you, one on your right and the other on your left." But Jesus said to them, "You don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I'm about to drink? Are you able to be baptized with the baptism of suffering I must be baptized with?" "Oh, yes," they replied, "we are able." Then Jesus told them, "You will indeed drink from my bitter cup and be baptized with my baptism of suffering. But I have no right to say who will sit on my right or my left. God has prepared those places for the ones he has chosen." Then the 10 other disciples heard what James and John had asked. When the 10 disciples had heard what James and John had asked, they were indignant. So Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people. And officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be the slave of everyone else. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." Let me repeat that one more again. It says, "For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." Then they reached Jericho, and as Jesus and his disciples left town, a large crowd followed him. A blind beggar named Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, was sitting beside the road. When Bartimaeus heard that Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." "Be quiet," many of the people yelled at him. But he only shouted louder, "Son of David, have mercy on me." When Jesus heard him, he stopped and said, "Tell him to come here." So they called the blind man. "Cheer up," they said. "Come on, he's calling you." Bartimaeus threw aside his coat, jumped up, and came to Jesus. "What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus asked. "My rabbi," the blind man said, "I want to see." And Jesus said to him, "Go, for your faith has healed you." Instantly, the man could see, and he followed Jesus down the road. Faith is something else, man. How strong is your faith? What are you struggling with? What is that thing you need God to step in and fix? What are you believing God for? Man, because your faith will heal you. I gotta say too, everything don't always look like what you think it's gonna look like. Me getting set free from a meth addiction, it didn't look how I thought it was gonna look. It looked like I went to a rehab program. It looked like, well, if y'all don't know my story, man, y'all go check out my testimony is actually posted here on the YouTube channel. If you haven't heard it yet, man, go check it out and you'll learn a little more about me and how God will answer your prayers in ways that just sound crazy to your human mind. Like, there's no way, but if you just trust him, man. I've been walking in obedience to God for for 2.5 years now. I'm clean and sober. And it's such a freedom. It's such a freedom. And it did not look like what I thought it should look like. I was, are you sure? Are you sure? Lovie, are you sure you're hearing God, or are you tripping? But I know I heard the voice of God, and I can look back at it now and be like, man, look what he brought me through, because I trusted him that one time, that first time, because I took that first leap of faith. I needed to be set free. I knew I had a dependency on something I had no control over myself. There was nothing I could have done on my own strength to get myself clean. Nothing. I was not strong enough on my own, and I knew I wasn't. So when I did cry out to God, it was, I need your help because I can't do this on my own. I knew I couldn't. And like, when you reach that point, your faith really, it's shaking. It does something different. When you're believing God for a miracle, he'll come through. It just may not look like what you think it's supposed to look like. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to look like what you think it should look like. God don't got to explain his plans to you to make it work. You know, like, in fact, I believe that part of God's wonderful, majesty is through just surprising you. You've been praying for this thing right here. Watch how I'm going to do it, though. Like, it's not going to look like what you think it's going to look like. But it's going to come, and it's going to be such a surprise. You're going to be in such awe because, what? Like, what? You really did this? And yeah, like, I've seen it throughout my whole life. Just in little things, and it's just getting bigger, like, the more obedient I am in walking with Christ. So I just encourage y'all today to continue to grow in him and learn him and try to walk in obedience and boost your faith, man. If you really want to see a change, you have to really be a change for real. We lead by example, we follow by design. If it ain't a God thing, it ain't a good thing. Real talk. So you guys go out and have a blessed rest of your day, and don't forget to love like Jesus. I'll see y'all tomorrow.